Welcome to Believe in Pistons, the Detroit Pistons podcast, brought to you by the Believe Network. I am your host, Brandon Dent, aka Detroit Kool-Aid, credentialed NBA media, and today is January 1. It is a victory, a Lions victory Sunday. So happy New Year to all the Detroit sports fans. We ain't got nothing to say to Chicago Bears fans out there. But listen. The Pistons, man, we got to talk about them. The Pistons haven't gotten off to the start that many have expected. You know, even the Pistons, they came out to start the year talking about they want to win now. The GM Troy Weaver stated, "Listen, we got our full complement of roster. We're finally kind of over and out of some cap hell and ready now to move into the competitions phase of things." Dwayne Casey, the head coach, he took it a step further and said, yes, we are ready to compete every single night. And then the players took it one step further and said that they are ready to compete for the play-in tournament. Now, me personally, I thought the Pistons would fall somewhere between 22 wins and 30 wins, depending on health, and at best be able to compete for that play-in, at best, if all things went well. But I thought that this year, unfortunately, they would fall short. But fortunately, to the tune of a better draft pick. This isn't the year that you wanted the Pistons to be able to overachieve, so to speak. This is a year that you wanted to be able to see what they have, especially out of Troy Weaver's first draft pick. Killian Hayes, Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart. You got to know what those guys are. Historically, we've seen Detroit Pistons GMs and teams hold on to guys or overpay guys just because they were our guys. And the proper evaluation was never really done. Or we played into that old mindset of, Detroit, they just don't get free agents. They have to hold on to their own. Well, if you're going to hold on to your own, you got to make sure that they're worth it. And that's why I like the process that the Detroit Pistons are taking with their young players. And, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. This is the first time we've seen a draft, rebuild like this for the Detroit Pistons since maybe the Detroit Bad Boys Pistons, where they drafted a lot of their stars. The Going to Work Pistons, they traded for a lot of their stars, including Rip Hamilton, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, and so forth. It was in a situation where they were going out and drafting young talent. I mean, the talent that they had on that squad, we can't forget our man Tayshaun. They drafted him. They drafted Mehmet Core. And then beyond that, it was kind of bleak. There might have been somebody else that they drafted. We won't talk about him. I'll let you guys talk about him. Put him in the comments. Talk about it amongst yourselves somewhere. Find me on social media at Detroit Kool-Aid. Let me know who that other player is that they drafted in 04, man. The Human Victory Cigar. I know that was his nickname. But, injuries, chemistry, defense, these things have all been a problem for the Pistons this year. So, in the spirit of New Year's, though, in the spirit of trying to start things and do things better, I had a few resolutions that I wanted to share with you guys. You guys know I am a beat writer and a beat reporter over at Woodward Sports, where I do cover the Detroit Pistons, do a little bit of courtside reporting, get into the press conferences to be able to ask the players and the coaches the questions that all of the fans are asking. So definitely put the questions down in the comments and whatnot. I'm going to go on ahead and get this article pulled up here on these resolutions. And while I do that, let me know, man. Like I said, find me any way you can. Let me know what it is that you want the Pistons players to be able to capitalize on this in this new year. All right. We got it here. All right. Yeah. All right. Now, look, I got the Detroit Pistons New Year's resolutions. And first and foremost, I hope nobody has forgotten about Cade Cunningham, the man. Come on now. This guy is a star player. I said it to start the year that I believed Cade Cunningham was going to be that 25-5 type of guy. 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. And when you know it, in the 12 games that he did have, and I know some people, they may say it's too small of a sample size to really depend on, but you guys saw the work he was doing, right in the middle of that sample size, games of 25, 27, 30 points, against some pretty good competition. You want to see the wins, you do, but the team was going through a lot. Obviously, they only had what I think one big for a lot of the time that Cade Cunningham was doing this work. But him, my New Year's resolution for Cade Cunningham, big dog, just get healthy, man. Come back next season. Know that this team is yours. Coming into this season, there was a lot that was kind of going on with Bojan Bogdanovic joining the team. A lot of hype around Jaden Ivey. And it's not to say that these guys can't be those 1As, 1Bs, 1Cs and whatnot. But Cade Cunningham proved, and everything that's happened since he's been out has proven that this is his team. He is, and I'm going to continue to use this phrase with him, the straw that stirs the drink. That is Cade Cunningham. So listen, man, look, he averaged 19.9 points per game. We can just say 20 points per game, 6.2 rebounds, and 6 assists per game before he had to bow out of the season. So look, we got a star on our hands, folks. I do want to see him. If there's one thing to improve upon this resolution, the efficiency. I believe that will catapult him next season, especially out the gate. If he can start not just the season, but start off games where he's getting to his hot zones faster, like he does in the third and the fourth quarters, I believe we're going to see a much better and a much improved Cade Cunningham. And definitely, we got the effect of losing Cade Cunningham over on the Detroit Pistons podcast that I do with Rob Beard from the Detroit News. But just keeping it moving here. Bojan Bogdanovic. I want to know, just if you're thinking about it, what are some things that you guys want to see some of these players improve on? But his New Year's resolution that I have just after, observing his game for some time. I'll start though, man. What a pleasant surprise Bogey has been to the offense in the starting lineup. He's been absolute money on that side of the ball, which may surprise you though. Is my resolution for him has nothing to do with improving his defense, but rather his offense. And I'm gonna explain it to you here. His defense is not something I believe he's gonna get world-stoppingly better at. It's just not gonna happen. But I don't think he's a horrible, like absolute atrocious defender. If we get a better defensive-minded team around him, or a team that's a little bit more connected, for how good he is on offense, you can hide Bojan's and deal with Bojan's defense. So this is why I'm saying his offense. I believe that his offense can continue to be even more effective. He's having a career year this year in assists, averaging about 2.5, 2.6 per game, but providing even more of that playmaking, especially when he's paired up with guys like Alec Burks, Sadiq Bey, and especially Jaden Ivey. Then Cade Cunningham gets back. We got to think about this. How do we utilize Bojan Bogdanovic is scoring the best without it clashing or competing with anything else? So yeah, look, I want to see him get that playmaking up even more, so that it can help out guys like Sadiq Bey, who's up next on my list here. The resolution that I have for him is it's one that harkens back to what Dwayne Casey was saying, and we're starting to see Sadiq Bey try a little bit more. I know his footwork is something that he has to kind of speed up. But yeah, look, he's been known to have slow starts to the season. So his shooting numbers didn't concern me that much to start the year. I was talking about it with Rob Beard from the Detroit News. He covered the Detroit Pistons for them for over 7 or 8 years. Now, Mike Curtis of the Detroit News is the current beat writer. Shout out to him. Really good dude. He's out there on the grind, real humble, and really, really good at what he does. But, Rod Beard got the opportunity to kind of get to know Sadiq Bey a little bit and realize this guy's a warrior, that though he has these slow starts, he's not the guy that you want to count out. So over the last 10 games, he's shooting a much improved 38% from 3 on 5 attempts per game. Guys, I'm going to say that one more time. 38% from 3 on over 5 attempts per game. There was nothing to worry about with Sadiq Bey. This is what we keep saying with him, man. Look, he is streaky. He definitely is streaky, but he's more a slow starter than he is a streaky shooter. So once he gets going, he's a guy that you can depend on him to be able to do these things game after game, night after night. But one area of improvement, and Dwayne Casey said it, I want to see him in that pick and roll game. I believe that can unlock his game so much more. Pick and rolls from the outside, pick and rolls from the mid-range, so he's not working as hard to get his shots. Right now, Sadiq Bey is working very hard. His usage rate is high, and it's really, really difficult for the team to find ways to put him in his position to create for him. So if he can get better in that pick and roll game, you will see less stressed offensive game. You will see him become more consistent and less streaky because he'll find himself in his hot zones and he'll find himself more open. Sadiq Bey, get to it, bro. Listen, Jaden Ivey, this rookie, right, largely has exceeded my expectations. I thought that Jaden Ivey was going to be somebody that will come in and kind of give us what we kind of see from Killian Hayes. and that's not bad. It's not bad, especially for where Killian Hayes is. Just now kind of getting into the meat of his NBA experience, but we'll get to Killian Hayes later. With Jaden Ivey, over the last 10 games, he's shown that he can really play make. And that was one of the questions that we had coming into the season is, can he play make? And, what was his defense going to look like coming into the season? He's kind of answered these questions. 4.2 assists per game. And he's shooting 38.5% from three. Over the last 10. On the year, he's still shooting pretty decently. And he's shown recently some mid-range game. And that harkens back, I know about 3 or 4 games ago, he had a couple nice floaters, and he talked about, learning and working with Alec Burks, he's absolute gunner. Heat. From that area, especially this season for the Pistons, man. The Pistons got a lot of guys out here, like with some career stats, Bojan, Alec Burks, and guys like that. But with blazing speed and a bigger build as a perimeter player, I want to see Ivy become that lockdown defender. Like, I wish it was Killian Hayes and Jaden Ivey as these guys are starting in the backcourt, especially when Killian Hayes gets back. I want to see these guys be pass, be menace. Hey, Tayshaun, you want to see these guys be menace? He does. I like, get out there and make it more than uncomfortable for the opposing backcourt. And I'm talking about when a wing or a big gets the ball, be a pass. Go down there and be fast enough to get the ball out of like a Joel Embiid's hands and then get back up and defend the perimeter. I believe that Jaden Ivey possesses those skills. We see Killian Hayes do a little bit, especially when he's kind of in his bag and when he's feeling himself, when that confidence is up. But with Jaden Ivey, I really, 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 really want to see him get to it. All right, let's move on though, because I got this other rookie. Here, man. Jalen Duren. Look, I don't even, guys. Is there enough good things to say about Jalen Duren? I'll wait, because I know that you guys just think about it, man. When they drafted him, Troy Weaver said, "Man, we would have drafted him at 5. We would have traded up and took him at 5." We were like, "What?" Casey, man, reminds me of Sean Kemp. What? Come on now, come on. Some observers even pondered if there would be time spent in the NBA's player development G League. And now we're wondering, how high is this actual ceiling going to be for Jalen Duren? That may depend on how good his defense is. He's already shown the tools and the flashes, more than the flashes. But my resolution for Jalen Duren, I want to see rim protection at its finest. I want to be able to, that it's something that he craves. That's what I want. I want to see him like how Ben Wallace absolutely roamed the paint, and I get it. Some people say, "Oh, don't compare them to the greats. Don't compare them. Let them just be their own thing." Man, skip that, bro. Go out there, look at the greats, and try to aspire to their level of commitment, hustle, heart, and determination. Because I ain't got nothing to do about the greats. I got everything to do about what beats inside of here, of every Detroiter, every Southeast Michigander, and every Michigander in general. That's what we want to see. Jalen, Andre Drummond wasn't somebody who the fans spoiled on because he wasn't Ben Wallace. He was somebody that the fans spoiled on because he didn't embody what Ben Wallace embodied. And that's the things that Detroiters did. That's why they got coined the going to work Pistons. That's exactly why. This team identified and directly connected with the blue collar and the plant workers and the servicemen and everybody, small business owners. It was every class of worker, man. So, yeah, with Jalen Duren, he don't got that problem, man, that Andre Drummond did. I just want to see him get better, and I think that he will, based on the level of just competency, basketball IQ, and how hard he works. Isaiah Stewart. He's another player that is interesting to me because he started the season. I don't know what any of us really expected with Stretch Stew, which is what I want to call him. I know he's affectionately known as Beef Stew, but I'm going to call him Stretch Stew. He said that he was looking at and trying to model his game after Al Horford, and I think he's getting there. I really do. He needs to become a menace on the glass, and I just don't know if he has the metrics and the measurements to get there. But as it relates to playing that stretch for a position, whether that's long-term off the bench or long-term starting, which I think it has to be starting if he continues to improve on what I believe his resolution is going to be. But this year, guys, who thought Stu could shoot 36, almost 37% from 3 on over 4.2 3-point attempts per game? Like, what? I'll be fair with you. I didn't think that he was going to achieve that. Not at all. but he has, and it's looked good. And in certain stretches and spurts throughout the season, he's even shot close to like 45% on some of these 5 and 10 game sample sizes. And this is only 30 games in. He showed a little bit of ability to close last season, but this season he's shown that it's more than just flashes. It's who he is as a player. He's a shooter. I want to see him get a little bit more in the mid range on those, but that's just a critique. My resolution for him, I put out the gauntlet to start the season. I pondered and wondered and questioned it last year. It seemed like he always gets close. 11 points, 9 rebounds. 11 rebounds, 9 points. I want to see him grab a few more rebounds a game to average that double-double nightly. He started off the season over the first, I think, 15 games, averaging that double-double. But since he's been moved to the 4 and Jalen Duren's gotten more time, big fella been gobbling up some of those rebounds. But I want to see Isaiah Stewart, as he gets his time, get that rebound total up there and get yourself into that double-double range, man. Killian Hayes. Killian. All right. You talk about a season of some pretty wild ups and downs. Killian Hayes started off this thing historically bad, historically rough, right? But he's acquitted himself pretty well, nicely. For his averages to be where they are in the season, it's pretty wild. And right now, he's averaging close to 10 points and 6 assists right now. That's a far cry from when he was averaging more, fouls than points per game. In the new year and upon, return from suspension, I do believe that Hayes needs to make aggressive two-way basketball a staple. People need to know, oh boy, we got to deal with him on both ends of the court, especially in the free throw department. I see how aggressively he is, attacking people on the defensive end, especially when his confidence is up. But he doesn't seem to attack people on the offensive end as well or as much as he does on the defense. I want to see him get to the free throw line. Notoriously slow, low shot, free throw shot volume taker. And shout out to Kuka Hill, because that's what I was trying to think of. Like, I just had this conversation. I don't want to slight anybody, so it got me a little bit tongue tied. But like notoriously low shot volumes for Killian Hayes at the as it relates to free throw attempts. And that's because he doesn't really attack the rim that well. And I got to have Kuka Hill, host of Locked On Pistons, on the podcast a couple weeks ago on one of my other ones, and here's what he talked about: that he loves Killian Hayes, he loves what he's seeing out of him, but the one gripe, if he could do one thing better, it's get to the free throw line, attack the rim, man. Attack the rim. You got the size at 6'5". You put on some muscle and some girth. Get to the rim, buddy. Get to the rim. I think that's the next step in his maturation that can totally take his game to a new level. Is if he can get to the rim and use that 6'5", use that wingspan, use his shot touch, use his basketball IQ, and then allow that to set up his playmaking. He needs to be scoring and looking to attack first. Period. All right. Listen, before we get into some groups here of the bench brigade and then our old man Wiley vets at the end of the bench, Ryan Mack and Noel, we got to talk about Marvin Bagley III. Listen, he's shown to be a great option off the bench and will show even more when his pick and roll partner Cade Cunningham is back from injury. Y'all, listen, go look at Cade Cunningham's numbers last season before and after Marvin Bagley. When Marvin Bagley got there, we saw a completely different, just life to the offense. Everything looked like it started to click. Even the player we thought Cade Cunningham could be, that's where we started to really, 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 really say, you know what? And it was happening consistently. This is the guy that we were cheering for on draft night. But, the area I want to see Bagley, focus on is being that paint bully, a la Corliss Williamson, known as the Big Nasty and a member of the 2004 Detroit Pistons team. I've seen a couple, capable flashes of Bagley being a dependable paint scorer. And I don't know if it's like his mindset, because he floats out to that 3-point line a lot, especially with the sets that they're running. And I know they came into the season trying to figure out, well, who are their players going to be. So I can't be unfair here. If it's a development year and they want to see the Force shoot some threes, then I understand why he's shooting threes. But at some point in time, if Bagley is saying, yo, I'm little son and I'm babying these people out here in the paint, then you want to see him do more and more and more of that rather than shooting the threes. He's shooting about 20%, 27% on the year, but as of late, as his volume has kind of gone up and been more consistent, only 14% over the last 10 games, y'all. 14% from three. Take a few less threes, man. get into that paint and just be an absolute bully. When you get into the game, have people just think and believe like, yo, man, I gotta contend with this dude. He's just gonna come in here and be a wrecking ball. Do it. Do it, man. And these y'all gotta understand, man. These resolutions for me are resolutions that are based on what I'm watching, what I'm seeing, what I'm talking about with other people, and what I really, really, really believe these guys can do. Everybody goes and they got to get challenged, man, to come back and do something better with their game. I'm hoping these are things that not only that it can be instilled over the course of this, post New Year's season, but also in the off season as they head back into what I believe to be not fully restored to championship level, but fully restored to competitive level. Next season is going to be a big year, y'all. $54 million in cap space, another high draft pick, another step forward, and another year of development for these young players. Their core right now, I mean, think about it. They're starting 4 guys that they've drafted over the last 6 years. Killian Hayes, Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey, who are the 2 rookies, Isaiah Stewart, and then Bojan, the old man vet. Think about this, people. Think about this. And when they go into this next coming draft, they're going to have more. If they had Cade and Isaiah Livers, that would be depending on 6 draft picks in the top rotation. And when they get this next draft pick, it'll be 9 draft picks, 8, 9 draft picks to be depended on in the regular rotation. And if Cade is who I think he is, Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren keep taking these steps forward. Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, and Killian Hayes prove that they can be, something more than just complimentary. All you're going to be able to have to do is just sign a few pieces here and there. And this team is going to be on its way. But hey, listen, let's get to this bench brigade. This includes Alec Burks, Hamidou Diallo, Kevin Knox, and Corey Joseph as veteran bench players who regularly play. They each contributed in big ways or small ways, but they have the largest impact by focusing even more on the maturation of the rookies and the young players, by assisting and instilling an identity of defense. So my resolution for them, they've surely outscored their fair share of opponents, their fair share of opposing benches. But defensively, I want to see them go out there and have this mindset that when they come into the game, teams know we have to contend with them and compete with them. And just to close off with Rodney Mack and Nerlens Noel's, I just wanted to be able to get in, do this one, have a happy and safe New Year and all of that. Get with your families, hold them close, get with your friends, and have some fun. But to close out, just be ready when called upon him and to continue to provide that mentoring for the young players. Magruder has shown the propensity during his time as a Penn. He's already shown that. And I hope Nerlens Noel, with whatever time he has left here, imparts some defensive nuggets and wisdom with guys like Stewart and Duren. Nerlens Noel, he has some great stretches defensively. And I'm hoping, and I'm sure he's doing this, that he's giving these guys everything that they need to be able to go out there and be great, especially if Casey is saying that Nerlens Noel is going to be that break glass in case of emergency guy. I would like to see him a little bit more, but for whatever Casey's points are, Casey has his points. But look, guys, this was fun. What's next? The Pistons play the Chauncey Billups coached Portland Trail Blazers Monday, January 2nd at 10 p.m. And listen, I want this Pistons team, like the overall resolution for this season. I want this team to be able to, ultimately show better defensively. That's where the biggest concern has been, is how bad this team has looked defensively. And I know that we covered this before. They lost Jeremy Grant, they lost Kelly Olynyk, they lost some NBA rotation guys, and they've replaced them with rookies. There's going to be a learning curve, but it shouldn't be this bad. People and fans should not be able to question your heart, your hustle, your determination, if you're going after the 50-50 balls, if you're diving on the ground, if you're doing those types of things. And you know what? In the last win that they had, you saw that type of stuff, including getting out into the fans and all that stuff for loose balls and all that, and having to apologize to them. And Bradley Burks did that a couple times. I know Hamidou Diallo and a couple people, they knocked over a cameraman. I got to talk to him after the game. He was like, man, I got knocked out. I got hit 3 or 4 times. And it's just like, you know what? When the squad is really, really, really going for it, that's when I see this team just look the ways that I believe they could to start the season. Even without Cade Cunningham, they held, the Minnesota Timberwolves to 104 points. And defensively, the Pistons have now done this several times where they've held teams to like either add or under 100 or kind of right around that 104 mark, 105 mark, things of that nature. In a league and in a time where teams are just scoring 130, 120, 140, 150 on a regular basis. So you want to see them string this together a lot more. Don't just continue to show that you can do it. Go out there and do it. Go out there and be about it, man. Change the trajectory of your season if you want to. Look, that draft pick, that high draft pick is kind of it's kind of tempting, just from a standpoint of knowing what the longevity and long term process is for the team and how much it can help. You have to have another young, controllable player on your squad while you're trying to really, really, really make a push and make a run. Back to competitiveness. But if the players want to go out there and mess that up, you can't be mad at that. If the players go out there and play well enough to mess that up, you can't be mad at them. You can't be. And I want to see them go out there and at least try. Make the improvements, make the strides, put defense first. But look, I'm going to get Steve in here. We're going to do like a 0.5 episode. We're going to get Steve and Sean. I've been teasing these guys. We're going to get in here. We're going to have some fun conversation. We're going to talk about what other NBA teams might be looking at from the Pistons as it relates to realistic trade ideas for any of our trade pieces. I know people talk about Sadiq Bey. They talk about Bojan Bogdanovic, and they talk about Killian Hayes and Isaiah Stewart and all these other players that could be potential trade candidates. And then we want to talk about the draft, not just the names that you know, but some of the names that we need to familiarize ourselves with as Detroit Pistons fans and followers of the NBA and people that cover the NBA. You want to make sure that, from my perspective, we are reporting on it the best way. And for your perspective, you'll know that you got all of the right names, the right info for your conversations. Look, you got to go to work and own your peoples. You got to go to school and own all your friends. It just is what it is. So we're going to try and make sure you hooked up with the right info. I appreciate you all for rocking out, though, man. I really do. I really do. I'm going to get the music going in here, man. I appreciate you guys for rocking out. Again, this is Believe in Pistons by the Believe Network. And I am your host, Brandon Dent, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid, credentialed NBA media. Till next time, y'all.